Welcome back to the Archive Network. Aurelius here with Malik, curators of the Treaty Archive. We left Peace of Westphalia last time, but history's judgment awaits. Today we pick up where we left off. The guns fall silent, but the wounds of Europe run deep. The Peace of Westphalia promises a new era, yet the continent is scarred politically, religiously, and socially. 3 decades of relentless war have left their mark. As the diplomats put pen to parchment, a fragile balance emerges, with new powers rising and old empires fading.
But, Aurelius, that fragile balance you mentioned comes at a significant cost. Yes, France emerges as a dominant force, waving banners in Alsace, but what of the devastation left behind? The old order is gone, yes, but not without a price. Those fields you speak of lie fallow, not just due to war, but because of human suffering.
The scars are visible everywhere we look. The Holy Roman Empire lies in shambles, a shadow of its former self. What once unified Christendom is now just a patchwork of independent states fighting for power. The emperor's authority has all but vanished, leaving princes to chase their own ambitions without a thought for the greater good. It's a familiar tale throughout history. When empires face decline, they fracture and lose their cohesion. The question is, can they ever rise again?
Fragmentation doesn't just mean loss of power, Aurelius. It means loss of lives, cultures, and communities. Think about the cost of the 30 Years' War. It's staggering. Millions of people lost their lives, entire towns turned into mere shells of what they once were, and villages vanished without a trace. The human toll can't be overshadowed by political maneuvers. We must remember the survivors who mourn their loved ones, who carry the weight of grief and loss with them every day.
You're right about the human cost. The war has left deep demographic and psychological scars that won't heal overnight. But peace brings a semblance of hope. Farmers can finally plant crops again, and families can reunite. The treaties signed in Münster and Osnabrück signal a new beginning, though we must remember it's also a time filled with unresolved tensions. History teaches us that while the ink dries on these agreements, the real work of reconciliation is just beginning.
But hope is fleeting. The treaties may have ended open conflict, but they also sowed new seeds of rivalry. The Franco-Spanish War rages on, a stark reminder that true peace remains elusive. Disputes over territory are ready to flare up at any moment. Families are torn apart, and soldiers aren't simply standing down. They're waiting, caught in a limbo where every day could bring new orders. It's a heavy burden, living in uncertainty, and the human cost is all too real.
True, the ink is barely dry on the treaties. Yet, the Peace of Westphalia introduces the principle of religious tolerance. For the first time, rulers can choose the faith of their realms while granting protection to religious minorities. This is a radical shift after years of bloodshed. It's a foundation for a more complex future.
Aurelius, you call it a radical shift, but what good is tolerance if it's just skin deep? Sectarian distrust simmers beneath the surface, and it's real. Some rulers may embrace this new spirit, but others cling to outdated ways, pushing dissenters further into the shadows. Tolerance isn't magic. It can't erase centuries of animosity overnight. We have to remember the people behind these divisions. The families torn apart, the lives disrupted. It's a long road ahead, and we need to tread carefully.
You raise a valid point. However, we must recognize that this precedent is significant. Faith in politics can no longer be dictated solely by sword or crown. Diplomacy has transformed in ways we can hardly ignore. The balance of power takes hold, preventing any single state from dominating unchallenged. Alliances shift constantly, rivalries grow fiercer, and what we see now is the stage set for a new era of conflict and cooperation. History teaches us that nothing stays the same for long.
But this new era isn't guaranteed to be peaceful. The Habsburgs, once the hopeful visionaries of uniting Christendom, are pulling back into their own territories. Meanwhile, France and Sweden, riding high on their recent victories, are looking for ways to expand their influence. What we have here isn't balance. It's a recipe for future conflict. The next generation of leaders is ambitious and restless. They're eager for power and won't just sit back and watch the world change around them.
You're not wrong about ambition being a driving force. The treaties at Münster and Osnabrück really do establish essential protocols for negotiations. They lay the groundwork for what we now consider modern diplomacy, recognizing sovereignty as a fundamental principle. Each state gains the right to govern its own affairs. This idea will ripple far beyond Europe, influencing nations around the globe. It's a significant shift, one that reshapes power dynamics and sets the stage for future conflicts and alliances.
True, but sovereignty isn't a shield against ambition. Look at the treaties. They raise just as many questions as they settle. Disputes are bound to arise, and I worry about the fragile peace we have. The next generation of leaders will surely test every provision, driven by their own agendas. It's the people caught in the crossfire who suffer. History's judgment is still pending, and it's the stories of those affected that we really need to pay attention to.
The world has changed, perhaps forever. The Peace of Westphalia set the rules for a new game that will shape our future. It offers us a chance for stability, but we must also face the risk of renewed chaos lurking just beneath the surface. The aftermath of the storm is merely the beginning. As we look ahead, the true consequences of this peace remain to be seen. We're left to wonder how long this fragile calm can last.
That's where we leave it this time. Peace of Westphalia continues. The story isn't finished yet. Find the full series on the Treaty Archive, part of the Archive Network. We'll be back with the next chapter.